Much needed attention was drawn to the persecution of Christians that's been taking place in Nigeria. And we thank U.S. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who's been making this a top priority. He's been talking with and taking some Nigerian officials to task for the way they have seemingly ignored or even facilitated the mass killing of Christians by Islamic jihadists. And while a spokesperson for Nigeria's president has certainly pushed back against Senator Cruz, calling his statements malicious and contrived lies, many have pointed to an abundance of reporting that's out there on the situation taking place in Nigeria. And also, we certainly have the previous administration under Joe Biden deciding that Nigeria is not a country of particular concern. There certainly now, at least, is a growing push to see that designation restored. And joining me now to discuss this is former U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback. Ambassador Brownback, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to see you.
Hey, it's great to join you, Jody, and glad to talk about this topic. It needs to be talked about. We finally got a burst of energy around Ted Cruz and, of all people, Bill Maher, raising this issue as a key one. So I'm hopeful we're going to start to see some action taking place.
Yeah, I am too. This is, and I agree with you. This is something. It's amazing how sometimes you have issues like this that totally swept under the rug and ignored by the legacy media, we'll just put it that way. But as you brought up Senator Cruz, he has brought this to light, and some in Nigeria are pushing back, saying that these are nothing but malicious, contrived lies, and that Christians are not targeted in Nigeria. What, Ambassador, is your response to that?
That sounds like a government press secretary doing what the Muslim president told her to, or him to do and to say. The facts are very clear. They've been consistent and they've been growing. You've got a group of terrorist organizations operating in Nigeria and throughout the countries in that region, the Sahel. You've got weaponizing of a Fulani herdsman group, particularly the younger men in this group. They're going in and terrorizing, killing Christian villagers to drive them out of the region, to Islamicize the area. And this is just a full-scale onslaught, slaughter, and you're going to see a lot more of it unless their government steps in and does something. And our government should push as hard as we can to force the Nigerian government to deal with this situation.
Yeah, I want to come back in just a moment to what our government can and should be doing. But as you reference the spokesperson for the Nigerian government, he went on and said that their government is committed to ensuring that there is religious freedom in Nigeria. And so what is your take on, you brought up the Nigerian government, so what is your take on how they have been handling the persecution and literal martyrdom of thousands of Christians in that country?
Either their response has been complicit with what's taking place, they're okay with it, and they're turning the blind eye the other way, or they're feckless, and they won't do anything about it that's going to upset some of their political base. I don't know. Either way, you've got the most dangerous place in the world to be a Christian now is in Nigeria. And you've got this robust, growing church in southern and central Nigeria that's some of the most dynamic Christians in the world, facing the most aggressive Islamic radical militants in the north and in that center belt. And this is a historic clash, and it's spreading throughout this region. And we're going to start to feel a lot more ramifications of this as these governments in the region either topple, as some of them have, get more bought into the Chinese-Russian model, as some of them are taking place. This is going to be a huge problem for us. I've got an article coming out soon about this could be a 500 million person caliphate throughout that middle area of Africa if we don't get busy and start addressing this situation.
Wow. Yeah, when you look at it from that perspective, you realize this is a huge, huge issue. So let me ask you that. How important is it for Nigeria to be designated as a country of particular concern?
Well, it's important because it can possibly get the government to do something, but we can't stop there. We're going to need to sanction them off of this unless they will actually step up and enforce their laws and ensure religious freedom for everybody. The last time the president of Nigeria was in the United States and met with President Trump in his first term, President Trump said, hey, you got to start protecting the Christians. And he went back and sent his military into the regions where they were getting attacked, and the persecution reduced substantially. That can happen again. Or, Jody, we need to start looking at ways that we can arm the Christians so that they can at least fairly fight back. And that's a conclusion I've been very hesitant to get to, but it may be the only response we can have.
Wow. Okay, so you mentioned sanctions. What other steps, final question here, do you think the U.S. should be doing? Certainly designating them as a country of particular concern, sanctions. What more specific actions by our government would you like to see here?
I think we need to go into the region. You've got this entire, as I say, this Sahel region. There's a number of weak governments in the region. I think we need to start cooperating with the ones that will cooperate with us and recognize that the Chinese and the Russians are all over this place already. We've got to start getting in there and start getting engaged, or we're going to have a much bigger problem on our hand that's going to be much harder to deal with. We need to be more engaged overall, economically, security-wise, and certainly with religious freedom in this region.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Sam Brownback, former U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom. We deeply appreciate the work you have done, and very grateful for you joining us today on Washington Watch.
Happy to do it, Jody. God bless you all.